Ya ma da. What's goody to the goddess and the gods, and what's popping to my people? And well, like we always do about this time, family. Voila! I told y'all I was gonna be back, baby. I told you I'm gonna handle business. Next week we gonna be fly again. Y'all don't never believe nothing, nothing. So we uh um I don't I don't I have no clue. Um my fault, y'all. Alright, so yeah, I have no clue what's going on. So my name is Wes. Send him out that mess. However, however, and that's why I don't be rocking with TikTok. I put up my new my new TikTok, and soon as it got to cracking, they muted me. So I hate TikTok, man. That's why I don't be messing with it. I was like, do some TikToks, man. My information, my shit too heavy for TikTok. I'm saying some shit ain't nobody else saying, and my shit hitting hard. It's hitting home. That's why, man. I just don't understand. I've been there, done that. They beat me up and kicked me off every platform. YouTube barely want me. If it wasn't for StreamYard, I wouldn't be on YouTube. YouTube been got rid of me. So it's tough, man. Um, but we're definitely going. Let me get rid of this shit. Uh, oh yeah. Uh, said Jamie Foxx breaks his silence on what really happened to him. Jamie Foxx say he told his either it was his partner or his little cousin. He had a headache. Motherfucker gave him an Advil, and bah, back to life, back to reality. Who is the nigga that you got an Advil from? That's the first thing we need to go holler at him. Like, bro, them wasn't no Advils, G. But, but this is what I'm trying to tell y'all though. Okay, so let's make sense out of that. I ain't gonna say we, I speculated, excuse me, I speculated that maybe he put a little bit too much information in that Tyrone joint and he kind of pissed off the powers that be. Now, a lot of people be like, is he just making a movie? It ain't that serious. Everything a conspiracy with y'all. But listen to what Jamie Foxx said. He said he had a headache and he asked the dude, he told the dude who he was with that he had a headache. That dude gave him an Advil. Uh, just like that, he said. 20 days later. So we got to look at two things. First of all, if we are to assume, we just opening some doors. If we are to assume that Jamie telling the truth, then that would mean that wasn't an Advil that was given to him. It was something, I mean, Don't nobody who never took an Advil before want one. So I'm sure he know what an Advil look like. So that means the person that he was with, somebody close to him, either a good friend or a cousin, I can't remember, I don't want to misquote, gave him a bogus pill. Which means the only way that's possible is if that person with him knew at some point Jamie was going to get a headache. And when he does, give him this. So now, another thing we have to deduct is whoever this person is ain't more important than Jamie Foxx. And I said that to say this. What would this person have to gain by doing such a thing? We're going with the information. This person slipped Jamie a fake pill, a fake Advil that fucked him up. Only way this could be a real thing is if that person knew Jamie was going to get a headache, which means they would have then had to be either responsible for the headache or in the know about the headache. And then this person somehow got a fake Advil waiting for the moment when the headache comes. Now, all of this shit is way too intricate unless it's exactly what the fuck I told y'all. You see how all we got to do is think for a second. And we just don't think for a second and we can make sense out of everything. Because check this out. If he lying, why would he tell us that story? And if he telling the truth, then he's admitting that somebody gave him a bad pill. For what purpose? And who's powerful enough to do that to him? And he don't want to talk about it. All I know is he came back in a skirt twerking. But you ain't heard that from me though. What's up, Kim Fo? How you feeling, King? Miss Franklin, Yahoo, Queen. I was gonna tell you about Jamie Foxx, but talking about it now, so that's good. Yeah. Yeah, it couldn't have been an Advil. We know Advil don't put you out for 20 days. So then we have to just do the math. If he got a bad Advil, that means the person he was with already had that on deck. Now, why would they have that? The only way they would have that on deck for Jamie Foxx, that means they knew at some point he was going to get a headache. Which means they were either responsible for or privy to information about this headache that was going to come. So then we have to ask ourselves, who's powerful enough or what purpose is it to do such a thing to the point where Jamie won't just come out and say what happened? Gotta think about these things. So now, before we get to the main thing, I'm just gonna swim around a little bit. The other thing is, y'all see, Fat Boy got his ass whooped in Canada. Y'all know I don't give a shit about him. Boss, the boss. Yahoo Uma, Peace Queen. Boss. Then went out there to Vancouver, and after the show, he gonna play that dumbass Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us, and they teed off on this big ass and whooped his entourage. So now, my thing is, I don't like most rappers. I don't got a dog in the fight. But I just think these rappers lie so much and they get so much favor that they start to believe they own bullshit. So you go out to Vancouver, like, man, they gangbang out there. They shoot out there, man. I seen Vancouver on one of them motherfucking crime shows. They killing people just like everywhere else out there, man. They got hitters. They got drills, all kind of shit. Like, what the fuck? So you go out there with these, and I'm gonna call your security guards weak as hell. And the reason why is because if you ain't never seen no motherfucker whoop Big Gene Deal. Hey, if you had Big Gene with you, he'd have cleared that whole section out for you. If you gonna have security on the road like that, and they don't know nothing, you just got big bodies. They don't got no technique, no martial arts, no jujitsu, no grappling, nothing. They just out there big as hell. His big ass balled up like this right here and bro. Let me tell y'all something. One thing for certain, two things for sure. If I come to your city, your state, your country, wherever the fuck you at, and after my show, I disrespect you, I promise you it better be an army here, because I did it on purpose and I want something. I ain't doing it just because I'm drunk trying to feel my... No, I don't move like that. If I come, the plan is going to be to disrespect you when I get there. We already know that off the rip. So it's going to be 100 of us there. You will have to call every side of town in Vancouver and some more niggas to come fuck with us. If I do such a thing. I'm not going to do that unless I'm prepared. So this is somebody, just like most of his career, he gets stuck in this facade. And finally, well, not finally, this is about time number 2 or 3. They done showed y'all who dude really is. Y'all remember when them disciples got on his heels and down there killed his ass? So, I mean, how many times we got to see this? He take a lot of L's, man. 50 snatched his BM up and had menage a trois with her and took a shot. Bro, you take a lot of L's, both. Your boy Meek out here, you got still shots of you making out with Diddy. Then you passed your boy to him and he, oh God, that if there's any truth to that motherfucking tape. Woo! See, that's why, don't nobody really watch me. I can say anything I want to. I ain't got to deal with no tabloids. I ain't got to deal with none of that shit. I say what the fuck I want to. Man, Meek, my dude. Woo! Man, look, I don't know, and I'm just going to say this. He talking about they be putting something in the drink. Bro. bro, listen to me. Hear me clearly. There's nothing you can put in a man's drink. Hear me clearly. That will convince. Wait, let me back up. Let me start over. There's nothing you can put in a heterosexual man's drink that's gonna have him in the bathroom letting you clap his cheeks. I'm sorry, y'all. What? And here's why I say that. Because it had to be somewhere in his mind. Like, I done been high. I done been high. I'm talking about I done been listen to me, family. I done been so high. I was looking down at me like, nigga, you fucked up. And not for 1 millisecond was it ever possible for the Meek Mill shit to jump off. They show up at the event with matching outfits on. What drink, what drug, what drinking drug is that? That after I'm done drinking it, you gonna clap a nigga cheeks in the bathroom and buy me a matching outfit? Oh my god! Oh god! No wonder why nobody likes me. And then here they're calling this nigga daddy, daddy, daddy. Oh god! Make it stop! Make it stop! Okay, back to the show. Woo. Anyway, so he deserved to get his ass whooped because I mean, you come prepared or don't come. You know, we say come strong or stay at home. Back in the day, we used to say. Uh, so I just think that's just more craziness. Um, I don't. Oh, and then they was talking about the awards, the award show. Um, I didn't watch it yet. So for the people that asked me about it, I didn't watch it yet. I get tired of watching this filthy satanic slut festival every year for y'all and tell y'all exactly the same shit that you already know. Break the awards down. It's gonna be a bunch of slutting, a bunch of homosexuality, and I mean like that's the bulk of it. And Satan is gonna be in the building having a ball. What more can we say? That's exactly what you're gonna see. Um, and it's getting to the point where like they're so either they're so desperate or they think you so slow to the point where they don't even try to hide it no more. They just got demons and shit flying it, Satan going across the back and shit. People dressed like what? And y'all just be at home. Oh, they crazy, they tripping, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. So they said my dude posted a thread about Sexy Red not winning the award and how upset everybody was. And I'm gonna tell you, I don't say this very often. I'm not sure if I ever said it, but I'm finna say it now. And I want to go on record for saying it too. Ladies, the one thing that y'all have no problem doing is telling us when it's time for us to take a L. So I'm going to say, on behalf of all real men, kings, and conscious brothers near and far, y'all have to take this Sexy Red L. I'm sorry, you have to. You have to. Um, the fact that you're upset that Sexy Red didn't get Artist of the Year, I think it was. That means that you wanted that. Now, my dude said, y'all mad about her not getting Artist of the Year or whatever, and she ain't doing nothing but basically showing the worst Tatianish sluttish behavior to your daughters. And she's they have already showed she doesn't have anybody black working for her. Everybody's responsible for her career is all white men. So then this is the creation of if this is the creation of white men, that means this is how they see you. So this is who they chose to represent you. And you fell for it. This is how is it so many queens screaming about consciousness and calling themselves queens and got crystals and herbs and all this shit, and y'all allowed Sexy Red? I didn't see no united front with the queens getting together talking about Sexy Red gotta go. Now, in y'all defense, these Negroes accepted Young Thug, a man wearing a dress. See it get grimy on both sides. But here's my problem, though. Because the issue is what's in the background. The next Negro that utters the stupid shit out of their mouth that music doesn't influence us, I'm just gonna tell you, if you honest, okay, I'm not gonna say that. I was about to say some real disrespectful shit, so I'm gonna keep it cool. I'm gonna pull it down a notch, and I'm gonna keep it cool. Hip hop is a $1 billion industry. Completely ran by Jewish white men. Now, Jewish white men, as far as living habits and lifestyle, they couldn't be further from opposite of this trap lifestyle music that they're pushing. So why are they only willing to invest in this form of black music? It's the simple questions we never ask. You want so bad to avoid a confrontation with this white man that you will say anything that don't make sense. So let me ask you this. Since music doesn't influence anybody, ask yourself honestly, if we decided that the only music that we wanted to put out was positive, uplifting music, do you think they put the same amount of money into it? Because we had that before when they brought this in, which means they didn't want that. We had all kind of positive hip hop. They funded NWA, who was brought in to replace EPMD and to replace Public Enemy. Everybody know about the secret meeting and all of this shit. So they wanted this because if they don't get this form of hip hop, you don't have a $1 billion private prison industry. Don't y'all understand? They built the private prison industry off of gangster rap. Do you understand how much they have made off the misery that this lifestyle has created? First of all, they had to put you in the housing situation, in the living situations that created the things that you rap about. If not for those situations, you wouldn't have the music. What if everybody grew up in the suburbs with no ghetto? And there was no crack and no robbery and no prostitution, no pimping. What would you then rap about? So they gave you the struggle and then allowed you to talk about it. They gave you the struggle and then they pay you crumbs to tell the world how fucked up they made sure your life was. It's a crazy thing. Um, so I don't know. I'm enough on that. I'm done with that rant. Um, but it kind of makes the point of what I said for the show tonight. Is reality really real? When you look at some of this stuff, like, first let's define what real is. Real is natural. What's natural? So there's two ways we can go about this. We all know, but before I go there, let's stay here for a second. So, like I said, real is natural. So, what is natural is everybody coming from the space of the creator, coming out the mom's womb. That's natural. Everything that happens after that gets difficult because you have no memory of before you came out. You have recreated the process if you had children, but you don't really know where exactly you just came from. And so, as above, so below. Everything imitates what we call God, uh, the supreme creator. Now, there's they say it's like 1 million sperms or whatever the case may be, and only one actually makes it to fertilize the egg. So it's a million living entities, all searching for purpose. And then one surpasses everybody else for the sake of existence. Now, think about that analogy, and then let's go and let's deal with this whole um well, we're gonna put that right there. Let's put that right there for a second. We gotta play with this for a minute. Let's put that there for a second. So now let's go to the Matrix. The Matrix is suggesting reality isn't real. Matrix is suggesting that we live in a simulation. And now, when you say that to some people will agree with it, but I don't think they really understand what they're agreeing to. Then the majority of the people say, "Oh man, you crazy? That shit crazy." So let's think about it like this right here. if if this is a simulation, like in the movie The Matrix, they say that you have the fake world and the real world. But it doesn't really do justice to the scenario, because they say the fake world is a computer generated simulation. And it's funny how they use the phone to enter and exit the simulation. Well, it's an energy port. Everything is energy. So I get the analogy. But now you got to think about this. When they leave the simulation and they come to the real world, who's controlling that? Because soon as they wake Neo up, he's in this plasma thing. It looks like it's glass, maybe. And it's a pod. And he jumps out of it, and he's got plasma all over him. And they pull the thing out of his mouth. And now this is the real world. But there's a couple things going on. What are they pulling out of his mouth? And why is there a plug socket in the back of his head? So if there's a plasma tube where a container where his body is at, and then there's a plug in his mouth, and then they show you around, and you can see millions of rows of these things. What that is a computer that they're hooked up to. Who's controlling the computer? Because they got these people they're calling admiral and colonel and these hierarchy and ranks and things like that, but they're still governed by technology. It's they try to make their living arrangement kind of primitive in the cave, and their clothes look kind of haggard, but they got electric sliding doors, and they got rows of pods, and they got all of these big ass computers that, I mean, let's just think about this for a second. If you can plug something into the back of my head, and after you do that, I'm in a different world. This is all computer programming we're talking about. So it begs the question, Who's controlling the computer? No matter how you look at it. Once you exit the matrix, you're still part of some sort of computer generated scenario. So now, I use this example all the time. If you download The Sims right now, the newest version of The Sims, you download it, you get married, get a house, get a dog, and get a job. And then cut off the game for 30 days. When you cut the game back on, your dog will be dead from starvation, your wife will have left you, and your home will probably be, well, it's only 30 days, you may still have your home. But this is going to happen when you shut the game off for 30 days. How does the game continue to go on when it's not open? Apparently, the characters don't know that the game's not on because they continue going on. So, if that is possible for us, and we're on one of the youngest planets, and we're considered millions of years lesser intelligence than these other species, how did our dumbass come up with a version of The Sims where they live as real people even after the game is off? So then you have to say, if that's possible for a species and a race as far behind as we are technologically from other species, how can we guarantee that we're not the same thing? How do you know for a fact that you are not one of the most advanced versions of The Sims to date? Now it sounds crazy, and you like, oh, this nigga bugging. And I could be bugging, but I still ask the question, do you have any evidence using the logic that we just used? Can you prove that you're not? So now, and we're gonna watch something in a minute too. I'm just building it a little bit for y'all, man, because I want y'all to. This some heavy shit. This that nerdy science shit I get off into. I knew it was gonna be tough. Can y'all please hit the like, please hit the share. I knew it was gonna be tough for y'all tonight, man, but we got to do it because um it's, well, y'all will see why. It's a couple things gonna happen, and we need to be prepared for them. So now, what is real? Because if you ask most of America, the moon landing was real. I'm gonna prove to you tonight that it wasn't. But if you ask most of America, they'll say it was. So for what are we talking, the 60s? So for the last 60 years, some people will say that that's actually real. But now, what that means, if it's fake, that means your reality got created for you and you didn't even know it. Now, if they could pull something off like that in the 60s, what do you think they can do now? Well, let's watch this first. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Let's watch this first. On my history, yeah, man. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay. Get this up. Okay, get this up. Boom. And oh, let's just, what the fuck? Come on, man. What? These weird ass white dudes. My fault, y'all. Okay, I'm about to come back to y'all right now and put the thing up. Share my screen. And
I was just learning about the wonderful things on the internet. You see, in the 1960s, we didn't have the internet. You know what else we didn't have in the 1960s, besides private HD chat rooms? Conspiracies. We just believed the horse shit the government fed us, and we chased it down with a shot at cheap brandy. Yeah. Did legendary filmmaker Stanley Kubrick, who directed such masterpieces as The Shining, Full Metal Jacket, and Dr. Strangelove, help perpetrate an Apollo 11 moon landing hoax for NASA?
I was strolling on the moon one day in a merry, merry month of December. Now, May, that's right.
Now, I have been watching a lot of conspiracy videos on the subject, and there is some interesting footage and information out there about similarities between the back projection used in 2001: A Space Odyssey and actual shots from the moon landing. Also, NASA did have models and mock-ups of the moon for training purposes.
Rumsfeld offered to go and negotiate personally with Stanley Kubrick. He and Henry Kissinger flew to England that same evening. Kubrick was surprised and amused by the idea, but began by refusing. Rumsfeld wouldn't give up. "We're only asking you to do one thing. Just leave us the keys to the studio for one weekend, just so we can shoot a bit of film and take a few shots. Everything will be tidied up again by Monday morning." Kissinger flattered him, telling him that Dr. Strangelove was one of Nixon's favorite films. In the end, Kubrick agreed. The fake footage would be shot in England in the MGM studios near Boreham Wood with a skeleton crew. The 2 technicians and 2 actors would be CIA agents.
Now, whether you believe in the conspiracy or not, there are some interesting parts of The Shining that I believe to be messages from Kubrick himself about his involvement. For instance, take a look at that shot of the kid playing with the fire trucks around what I believe to be a tiny NASA launch pad. Also, look at his sweater. It says Apollo 11. Interesting. Now, the boy Danny, he gets up and goes down the hallway to room 237. But in the book, it's room 217. What's the significance of 237, you ask? Well, the moon is 237,000 miles from Earth. You see, I believe that Danny represents the Apollo 11 mission to the moon. And him going into room 237 is the same as Kubrick going into the studio to film the moon landing.
But Stanley Kubrick was a perfectionist. Faced with the CIA crew's lack of professionalism, he ended up, against his better judgment, supervising the shooting of the fake moonwalk. "But," he told them, "from Monday morning, you're out of my life for good."
Now, when the kid comes out of the room, his Apollo 11 sweater's torn, and he has marks on his throat, and he can't speak. A metaphor for Kubrick being silenced about his involvement in the whole thing. There's also little hints sprinkled into the storeroom. There's a box that reads Box 39. Now, what was the launch pad number for the Apollo 11 mission? What was it? Let me think. 39! Also, there's Tang in there. No, not that kind of Tang. You pigs, get your mind out of the gutter. Lay off the red tube. Tang was the drink that the astronauts used to drink on space flights.
Ice cold glass of Tang. Tang landing is for Earthmen who just don't want to be earthbound. Drink Tang and go. Tang, the energy breakfast drink for Earthmen.
Would Richard Milhouse Nixon lie to us? Would America lie to its people just to beat the Soviet Union in a race to the moon?
Neil, you are dark on the rock.
Mission is a go. We have 21 minutes.
Everything was so much easier in the 1960s.
They were fantastic.
Politicians were honest. Cigarettes were good for you. Hell, who needs a filter? Only pansies were.
Right, hold on for a second, y'all. Let me get dude up out of there. Now, that was just to say, okay, the moon landing wasn't real. So, we would have to assume that they have the technology now. Why haven't they gone back? What is it that they don't want us to know or see? Now, so something about the moon landing was fake, which means that was a planetary illusion. That was for the whole planet. It wasn't just America. So now we have to ask ourselves, what else have they done that with? If we're going to assume that it's fake, which all evidence points to it that it is, then we have to ask, what have they done that with before? And what have they done? Because you don't practice your first deception, something as astronomical as we're going to fake the moon. We never faked anything else on a large scale, but we think we can fake a moon landing. No. You had to test run that thing somewhere else. So what else did they fake? What other aspects of our society aren't real? So let's do this. Before we go big, let's do this on the surface level. Money isn't real. Racism isn't real. Time isn't real. See, I said money isn't real because it's the only purpose for a monetary system is debt. We used to trade goods and services, and if not for that, we wouldn't have got society to a certain level. So at one point, we flourished full blown as a society with no money. Down south, what's going on, kinfolk? So then, drugs didn't just enter society; they were placed here. The most relevant form of entertainment is your cell phone or the television. Nothing on it is real. Reality shows are scripted. We have a 60% divorce ratio in this country. Love isn't even real. So without even going to the sci-fi high-tech level, you could just look at your day-to-day and think about the character you created to survive. Where you from? That ain't real. Most of the educational system is not real. So it would be hard pressed to look at our society and find things that are actually real. So now you got to think about that. That adds just a whole nother layer to this matrix thing. Because now you have to start asking yourself, what really is real? We now live in a society where women get so fed up with the behavior of men that they decide they don't want to be with a man anymore. They want to be with a woman. But they decide the best way to be with this woman is to pretend to be the men that you're fed up with. And men wake up one day and just put on a dress and decide they want to be called them or her. And people walk around, see a man in a dress, and pretend that nothing's happening. It's not real. It said, I've always felt like a girl. Then you've always been mentally unstable. That doesn't deserve encouragement. Ever since he was 5, he's been this way. Well, that means you fucked up when he was 4. It's not judgment. It's what's supposed to be reality. If you're born with a penis, no matter how you feel, you're what we call a male. If you're born with a vagina, no matter how you feel, you're a woman. And if you're a woman and you say, I'm just never been attracted to men, and you think that's a justification, at the end of the day, do what you want to do. But we have to talk reality here. Because we don't know what that is. So we have to bring reality back. Reality is this. If you are born with a vagina, excuse me, ladies, I have to do this for a second. If you're born with a vagina goes inward, which means you were created for something to go inside of it. You have an innie, he has an outie. You were created that way. Now, feel however you want to feel, but you were created as a woman, and he was created as a man. Something in that nurturing process, something in that nurturing process happened that made you identify with the opposite sex in a different kind of way. Nobody's at fault, whatever the case may be, but we have to call it what it is. It's not natural. But we live in a society that tells you it's okay to be something you're not. Now, why would the society encourage you to be something you're not? Doesn't matter how they disguise it, saying people have the right to do. We're not talking about rights. You have the right to say, I feel like a fucking pelican all day if you want to. What we're dealing with is what created that space That's what we have to deal with. So I said all of that to say, when you see a society that is promoting contradictory things, something contradictory is about to happen. There's no way that, okay, well, let me back up. If we say how you feel should determine how you behave, then you can't get mad at serial killers, murderers, pimps, prostitutes, crack dealers, or robbers. If you can wake up as a boy and feel like a girl, and nobody can judge you for how you feel, that means if I feel like murdering 6 people, then you say, well, that's illegal and it's immoral. But it's not immoral for me to go against God's design. God designed me a certain way. And everybody's all high strung on these religions, which I have no problem with. And everybody's trying to please God. But we overlook the simple things. You want to please God by calling him a hypocrite. Because if he created you with a penis and you feel like you should have a vagina, that's you saying there was an error in the design. Which you have the right to say that. But I get this from religious folk. All I'm trying to do is get us to understand what we're saying and thinking. Because it doesn't seem like we connect the two in a lot of instances. So, like, back to what's reality. If, you know what? Let's go to this other one. Let's cook. I ain't finna play with y'all. Hold on. Because I'm gonna ruin it if I say what I was finna say. Let me get to my dude. I should put y'all up on the heckler fish, but I ain't. Hold on. I'm coming, y'all. I'm coming. All right.
Possible that we're living in a simulation. It's likely. Is this reality? Well, we're experiencing something right now, so maybe the better question is, what is reality? Could everything we see, everything we experience, everything that exists in our entire universe be artificial? Supporters of simulation theory believe that not only is it possible that we're living in a simulation, it's likely. And the more we look for evidence, the more we find. Let's find out why. The idea of the universe being a simulation is not a new one. Theories exist in ancient cultures around the world. Modern simulation theory comes from Nick Bostrom, a philosopher at Oxford who wrote an influential paper on the subject in 2003. Assuming that living in a simulation is possible, Bostrom presents the simulation trilemma, which says one of the following must be true. 1, we destroy ourselves before we're able to create a simulation. 2, we're able to create a simulation but choose not to. Or 3, we are definitely in a simulation. Bostrom believes each of these is equally likely to be true. Now, I don't think that's controversial. We use computer models to study the human population, predict the weather, for entertainment. We simulate everything. And when a civilization can create a realistic simulation, the most obvious one to create is that of its own early existence. Bostrom calls this an ancestral simulation. And a civilization that can do this wouldn't just create one simulation, it would create many. And those simulated civilizations might create their own simulations of the universe, and on like Russian nesting dolls of reality.
Now, you're a character in that world and you think you have free will, and you say, I want to invent a computer. So you do. Hey, I want to create a world in my computer. And then that world creates a world in its computer. And then you have simulations all the way down.
When Elon Musk was asked what he thought the chances were that our reality is the original base reality,
the odds that we're in base reality is 1 in billions.
Neil deGrasse Tyson is a little more conservative. He thinks the odds that we are in base reality versus a simulated reality is 50-50. A 50-50 chance that everything we experience is artificial, that's still pretty high. And even though we mostly hear what scientists think about this, it's not scientific theory. Simulation theory isn't math, it's philosophy. It isn't physics, it's metaphysics. So what we need is hard evidence that we live in a simulation. And to find proof, all you have to do is look. Let's start at the beginning. There was no space or time. The contents of the entire universe were concentrated to the size of a tennis ball and had a temperature of a quadrillion degrees. Then suddenly, the Big Bang. Everything explodes outward faster than the speed of light. Then about 14 billion years later, we've got galaxies and planets and ice cream and K-pop.
Ice cream, ice cream. Yeah, I could do without the K-pop.
Me too. Okay, if before the Big Bang there was no space and no time, what was there? What about the beginning of the universe from the religious point of view? God created everything. Fine. Where was he before? What caused the Big Bang to happen in the first place? Or what made God decide to snap his fingers or wiggle his nose or whatever he did to make everything happen? If you ask a physicist to explain what existed before the universe, they'll give you an answer about quantum foam, dark energy, or something just as bonkers as the Big Bang. Ask a theologian what existed before God created the universe, and you'll get an answer equally as confusing. But what does make sense is that the universe was just sitting there dormant. Then someone somewhere decided to boot up a program. And in that program, our program, are all the laws of the universe. Electromagnetism and gravitational force are written into the program. The speed of light gets a value. There's code for Planck's constants of mass, speed, and time. Avogadro's number is in there, along with a bunch of other rules that govern the behavior of everything that exists, all part of our program. Even consciousness itself is part of our simulation. If you've never heard of simulation theory, then this might sound far-fetched. But some of the world's most respected scientists, technologists, and philosophers believe that it is more likely than not that we are living in an artificial reality. So, how do we prove it?
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car. Okay, you ready? All right, $118 for car insurance.
If we live in an artificial reality, it would make sense for there to be occasional glitches. Philip K. Dick is one of the most influential science fiction writers of all time. Movies based on his books include Blade Runner, Total Recall, Minority Report, The Adjustment Bureau, and plenty of others. He believed there are many universes, and sometimes those other realities bleed into ours. He claimed to have visions of this, and even wrote stories like The Man in the High Castle based on these visions.
That in fact, plural realities did exist superimposed onto one another like so many film transparencies.
One way other realities blend into ours could be the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect is when a large number of people have memories of events that don't match reality. This is called the Mandela effect because millions of people specifically remember Nelson Mandela died in prison. He didn't. People remember his wife walking beside his casket in a funeral procession that was on television for 2 hours that day. This never happened. or the Berenstain Bears, which people insist were always called the Berenstein Bears. People remember the tycoon from Monopoly having a monocle that he never had. What was Darth Vader famous for saying?
Luke, I am your father.
Nope, he never said that.
What?
What about Stouffer's stovetop stuffing?
Best part of Thanksgiving.
No, it isn't, because there's no such product. Stovetop is made by Kraft.
No.
The evil queen from Snow White who looked into her mirror and said,
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Nope.
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
My reality is shattered.
People remember Febreze being spelled with 2 E's. People remember Jiffy peanut butter, but there's no such thing. And there are a lot more. Personally, I don't have most of these false memories, but there are a few that get me. The Flintstones. There are 2 T's in the Flintstones. I remember just one. And what about the Fruit of the Loom logo? I could swear it looks like this, but it doesn't. This is the actual logo. No cornucopia.
Corny what now?
Basket.
Then just say basket for crying out loud.
And at the end of Moonraker, a terrible but excellent James Bond movie, I remember Jaws' girlfriend as having braces. I mean, I specifically remember it. She didn't have braces. I just can't get my brain to accept it. That's the Mandela effect. So why do millions of people distinctly remember different things?
Glitch in a simulation?
Yep. Philip K. Dick also felt when we experienced deja vu, it's because something in our simulated universe changed and a new timeline branched off of the current one.
We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed.
Ever feel like you've lived a moment before? That's because, according to Philip K. Dick and others, you have. Deja vu is the simulation correcting itself with new information. But skeptics can easily dismiss these theories. The human mind is terribly unreliable. They don't accept this as evidence. But we're not done yet. We live in a huge universe, 200 billion trillion stars. And even if life is rare, you'd think there'd be some evidence of it somewhere. This is Fermi's paradox. And according to the Drake equation, there should be over 1 million technologically advanced civilizations just in our galaxy. And on average, the nearest one should be just a few hundred light years away. But there's nothing, at least not that we can see. So where is everybody? Are we really alone in the universe, or does our program only focus on us? And what about the physical rules that are in place? Max Tegmark, a cosmologist at MIT, said the strict laws of physics point to the possibility of a simulation. Putting a cap on the speed of light sure is a good way to keep your Sims from venturing out too far from home. Theoretical physicist James Gates thought simulation theory was crazy. Then he started studying quarks and electrons. He found error-correcting code buried deep inside the equations used to describe string theory.
So you're saying as you dig deeper, you find computer code writ in the fabric of the cosmos?
Into the equations that we want to use to describe the cosmos, yes.
Computer code.
Computer code, strings of bits of ones and zeros.
Dr. Gates has changed his mind about simulation theory. In 2017, a group of scientists at the University of Washington proved they can embed computer code into strands of DNA. Everything in nature is math. Look at the Fibonacci sequence. You get the Fibonacci sequence by adding 2 previous numbers in the sequence together. So 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 1 = 3, 3 + 2 = 5, 5 + 3 = 8, and so on forever. You get the golden ratio, also called phi, by dividing 2 consecutive Fibonacci numbers. So the number 89 is a Fibonacci number. The next number in the sequence after 89 is 144. 144 divided by 89 is the golden ratio. It's about 1.618. We see Fibonacci numbers and the golden ratio everywhere. The number of petals on a flower is usually a Fibonacci number. Lilies have 3 petals, buttercups have 5, chicory has 21, and a daisy has 34. And the spacing of each petal is arranged in a circle according to the golden ratio. As trees grow, the number of branches they form is a Fibonacci number. And not just plants, animals too. The ratio of female to male honeybees in a colony is the golden ratio, 1.618. The human body conforms to the golden ratio too. Most of the body follows the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 5. 1 nose, 2 eyes, 3 limb segments, 5 fingers, 5 toes. The proportions of the body, like the length of your shoulder to your elbow, and from your elbow to your fingertips, that's the golden ratio. Even a DNA molecule measures 34 angstroms long by 21 angstroms wide. Fibonacci numbers and the golden ratio. From the spiral of seashells to the spiral of a galaxy and everything in between, Fibonacci numbers are everywhere. Now, some claim this is a coincidence, that humans
Hold on 1 second. Now, y'all just got to think about what he just said. When researching the galaxy, they basically found out that the galaxy is a big ass math equation bound by the laws of math. They found computer coding within the fabric of the galaxy. That means the galaxy is a computer program. But not only that, those numbers are in sync with the human anatomy, which can also be encoded, can be computer encoded in the DNA. The flower petals synchronize with the same mathematics of the human anatomy and the galaxy. Not only that, the space in between the flower petals synchronizes with the mathematics of the human anatomy and the galaxy. And so, a Big Bang theory. How can an explosion create that level of accuracy? Unless it's an orchestrated explosion. It can't be random. So, they keep saying the evidence of a simulation. What they really want to say is the evidence of God. This type of synchronicity in mathematics on this level. Now y'all have to think about what I say to y'all all the time. I say God is a scientist and a mathematician. So much so that the galaxy synchronizes with the human anatomy, with the flowers and the trees of this planet. So, for all intensive purposes, our existence is one big ass equation. For what purpose? There is a part in the Bible, and it's right after God allegedly, the biblical God, allegedly pulls Eve from Adam's rib. Now, we've talked about it before, and that's not what that scripture means. What that scripture means is that women came first. The feminine principle brings forth life. It's not about the black woman or the white woman. It's not about that. It's about the divine feminine principle. I used to teach that the black woman was God. I've been better informed. God is God, and we have to be careful with putting anybody in that space. But I'll say this. The universe is feminine because it is the grandmother. It gave birth to all things. So now, when we get to God, there is a part right after Eve, and it says, and Adam slept. And it never speaks of ever waking Adam up. But then we start getting all of these things, all of these stories and things that's happening. Well, the atom, ATOM, is the beginning of physical existence. And it says, after the feminine principle was removed from the ATOM, it was put to sleep. What this says is what I tell y'all all the time. God doesn't have hands, arms, and feet. Which means anything God wants done, how does he accomplish it? Through thought. Which means you exist only as the thought process of God. Which means the real thing that you were created for hasn't even started yet, because the ATOM, the beginning of existence, is sleep. Now y'all like, what the fuck are you talking about? Well, aren't they trying to tell you that you live in a simulation, a non-physical existence? Kind of like how your dreams be. You experience them, but they're not physical existence. Now, when you look at what we're calling the beginning, and I gave the examples of the sperm. We have to understand that this is a representation of all coming to be. Anything that comes to be has to go through this process of what we may consider survival of the fittest. You will be placed amongst the masses, and it will be up to you to declare that you will be that one. It's what God had to do, so it's what all species have to do. These moments that you're living now is like the sperm swimming through all the other sperms. Well, there's going to be one that's going to make it. You have to make that decision if you'll be the one that's going to make it. There's go back to here. I be thinking I'm about to mess my move up.
Humans look for patterns in chaos because that's what we're programmed to do.
What we're programmed to do.
And isn't that interesting? By trying to debunk simulation theory, they actually end up proving it. No matter what we study, whether it's something the size of a galaxy or as small as an electron, everything in the universe seems to follow patterns and rules. In other words, a program. To simulate an entire universe, you'd obviously need more advanced technology than we have. But that doesn't mean we won't get there. Moore's law says that computing power doubles every 18 months. And this has held true for about 50 years. Now, that is slowing down a little bit, but only because of physical limitations. Assuming we can learn to make microchips smaller, and there's no doubt that we will, it's predicted that artificial intelligence could surpass human intelligence within the next 100 years. As Elon Musk points out, when he was a kid, the world's most advanced video game was Pong, 2 rectangles on a screen. 40 years later, video game technology is barely distinguishable from reality. He said that 6 years ago. And even in that short time, video game engines have become even more realistic. Look at this footage from Unreal Engine 5.
When a world we can build feels as real as our own.
What just happened?
Imagine what games are going to look like in the next 6 years, or the next 60, or the next 6,000. But simulating an entire universe, how big of a computer will we need? Well, it's estimated that there are 10 to the power of 80 atoms in the universe. Let me put that on the screen just for fun. Okay, that's a lot. If each particle needs 128 bits to calculate its position and momentum, you're at 10 to the power of 83 bits. And that's just for data storage. We also need computing power to track what each of those particles is doing. If we say 2 floating point operations per second, or 2 flops per particle, we're at 2 times 10 to the 80th power flops. There aren't even words for these numbers. And this is the computing power for just the stuff in the universe. What about human intelligence? The human brain can perform 100 trillion calculations per second, or 100 teraflops. Multiplied by billions of people, the numbers are ridiculous. To power all of this, the simulation would need access to multiple Dyson spheres, the megastructures that capture 100% of the energy of a star. Or the simulation would have to harness the energy from black holes. This is why famous physicists like Dr. Michio Kaku are not on board with simulation theory. He claims that simulating a universe is not scientifically possible. The only computer capable of simulating a universe is the universe itself. Now, at first glance, this makes sense. But with all due respect to Dr. Kaku, that's not how simulations work. When you're playing a 3D video game, the entire game world isn't rendered. Instead, the game engine only calculates what the player can see and interact with at that specific moment. If we are living in a simulation, then it would make sense that the creators of the simulation would use a similar technique. And wouldn't it be interesting if there was evidence that this is exactly what happens?
Well, wait a minute. Do we have proof? Sweet, fancy Moses!
I love that damn fish.
Supporters of simulation theory often point to video games as a way to explain, if not prove, that our reality is artificial. In a video game, the only data that is rendered is what the player sees or interacts with. If you're playing a video game and there's a car or building a mile away, that entire object isn't rendered. The game engine only renders the bare minimum of information to make the object look real. A distant building is rendered as just a few pixels, not that complicated. As you get closer, the engine renders more details, but still, it's just a facade. The engine doesn't bother calculating what's inside the building until you actually go in. The game engine always knows how much data to send you and doesn't bother with anything else. If we live in a simulation, it would make sense that our reality is rendered the same way. And we could test this.
Wait, well, what do you mean we can test this?
Specifically, we can use the double slit experiment. Here's how it goes. If we fire particles in a straight line at a screen, after passing through a single slit, we would expect to see this clumping pattern on the screen. If we try this with a wave, we expect to see a pattern like this, where particles are most dense in the middle of the screen but radiate outward, similar to the clumping pattern. When we add a second slit, it starts to get fun. When the waves pass through the double slit, each slit creates its own wave. When those waves intersect, they cancel each other out. That creates a pattern like this. It's called an interference pattern. So particles passing through two slits create clumping patterns. Waves through two slits creates an interference pattern. Make sense?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Good. If we fire electrons through the slit, we see the clumping pattern as expected. An electron has mass, so it's a tiny bit of matter. So if we fire electrons through two slits, we should see two clumps. But we don't. We see the wave interference pattern. This shouldn't be happening. What's going on here? For years, scientists assumed that the electrons were colliding with each other, causing the wave pattern. But in the 60s, the experiment was modified so that only one electron at a time was fired through the slits. There was no way the electrons could interact with each other. Yet we still see an interference pattern. Scientists wanted to see what was causing this, so they added a detector to observe electrons as they pass through the slits. That's when things go from weird to paranormal. As soon as the detectors were installed, the interference pattern went away and the clumping pattern returned. Take the detectors away and the wave interference pattern is back.
Hey, you said Joe played this in CMB, huh? Did it make sense to you? It's basically everything is alive and intelligent and connected to the same source. So no matter what, these electrons are basically miniature suns. Remember, see, I tell y'all all the time, your intelligence comes from where? The sun. The sun is what gives us our intelligence. So electrons are miniature suns. These white boys is on the Late Show. They're trying to figure out, how did they do that? Because they're living intelligent suns. So whenever they're being observed, they stop doing their thing because it ain't none of your business. They know you're being nosy. Soon as you stop looking, they go back to doing what they do. This shows you that even the smallest existing particle is highly intelligent. Nothing is random. All of this science is just evidence of God. There is no random nothing. This is all mathematically equated. That's why I was telling my brother when we was having that discussion the other night, to think that, I know we see a lot of things, absolutely, God. I know we see a lot of things on this planet that we think is out of sync or out of line, or you know, people even talking about the end of the world is coming. Says who? Could a white boy say so? He dumb as fuck. You can see he don't even understand that atoms is intelligent. He don't even understand that electrons is these is the great grandchildren of God. What are you talking about? Well, you don't, man. Come on, now. I done pulled out the chart and showed y'all electrons, protons, neutrons. This is what creates the sun, the stars and you. Yeah, they've been saying it. They sure have been saying. They've been talking about the end of the world. Them white boys are predicting the end of the world. It was still black and white everything. They don't know what the hell they talking about, man. How you gonna predict the end of the world? How? Through a computer? A computer gonna tell you what God did, what God planned on. Get the fuck out of here. The apocalypse, the end of the world. You can't see. This is the ignorance of this white boy. He think he's smart enough to destroy something God built for a purpose that don't got shit to do with him. How the fuck you gonna do that? You gonna ruin something God created for a purpose that don't got shit to do with you. What makes you so capable of doing that? Boy, can't destroy no fucking planet. Especially not this one. He can't even fucking get out of the planet. If he destroy it, where he gonna go? Dumb fuck, you're locked in. If you was to destroy the planet like you keep telling everybody, where would you go? They keep lying to y'all talking about they gonna build tunnels and go to inner Earth. Bitch, y'all tried that with Atlantis and they knocked your dumb ass out the ocean. It's not gonna work. That's why you hiding in Alaska right now. They knocked your ass out the ocean and froze everything. Alaska ain't no motherfucking Eden. That's Atlantis. That's why you're not allowed to go over there. They got their ass whooped. Everywhere they go, they start a fight and get their ass whooped. Jesus was telling you the end was going to come. When they said, Jesus, when will we know the end is near? He said, before all of y'all pass. So the end days was supposed to be before y'all died during Jesus' time. They don't know shit, man. So they done taught y'all that you live on a spinning ball. And you believe that bullshit. You believe that the earth is spinning so fast, a big ass circle, it's spinning so fast that you just stay on the ground and can't feel it. They got a ride like that at the carnival. It's going so fast. Can you walk, motherfucker? You be stuck to the wall like this. But you think the earth spinning so fast that you can't detect this movement. Because the white boy told you that. Have you ever rode in anything so fast you couldn't feel you was moving? No, motherfucker. You just believe what the fuck they tell you, which mostly is a bunch of gooble gobble. No, fucking get the fuck out of here, man. They don't know a lot of shit. So, the point is, a lot of y'all think y'all are willing to admit that we live in a dome, but you think the bad guys is the one that put you here. So you think some lizards came to God's planet and was able to lock us all in here. And what God was doing while they was doing that? Y'all don't think. So if you locked in the planet, if this is an enclosed dome, like y'all think, who the fuck you think built the dome? Not no goddamn reptiles. If this is a simulation, whose simulation is it? They not as smart as you think. They button smart. They're scientists. They're nerds with attitudes. You ever seen the movie Revenge of the Nerds? The title comes from them. The nerds, the guys who everybody overlooked and didn't give a fuck about, and they rose to the top. How many times have we seen that story in American culture? It's embedded in the fabric of America because it's about them. They're the nerds that nobody gave a fuck about, and they rose to prominence. This is definitely a simulation, but we have to understand what that means. They just told you that everything is numerically synchronized. Well, ain't that what the fuck happens when you turn on your laptop? The basis of all technology is numbers. The basic to all building is numbers. You can't build or create anything without numbers. That's why when you get all the way inside your little human body and get to your DNA, they said what? It's computer coded. You're a machine. And one of the best ones ever created to date, might I add. You just don't know it yet. Now, the one thing they did manage to get away with is affect the atmosphere so they can pull the little 120-year bullshit. Now, they did that. You used to live a lot longer on this planet. The fact that it's only 120 years, they did some tinkering. I'll give them credit for that. That's about the only thing they get credit for, that in the damn book. The book was brilliant. Once you know what's going on, it's easy to weave through the shit, but it took us a few thousand years to catch up, so I give them a pat on the back for that. However, in the realm of real things, they know, I know, and now you know, 6,000 years ain't shit. That's not very long to be in charge. That could be the shortest rulership in the history of the galaxy. And they won't get a seventh. So while we sitting here thinking that they some big, bad, draconian, tough guys, they're a bunch of little lizard, nerdy-ass scientists. They look pretty vicious because they're kind of tall, but they really ain't shit. And they're going to get their ass kicked. What y'all got to do is stop being scared of everything. I got people arguing with me because I figured it out. Every time us enlightened folk get to saying we need to blame the system for this, that, and the third, it's always one of you slick Negroes that slide in talking about we need to stop blaming the white man and hold ourselves accountable. And you think you talking real revolutionary with that bullshit. Fuck out of here. How about this? If 10 of y'all come to shoot up my house, and only one guy have the gun and pull the trigger, why the fuck do I care about the other 9 people? I mean, after a while, maybe, but I want the guy who shot at my house. See, that's how y'all weird. Y'all will get to beating up old ladies and chasing kangaroos. You do everything but something to the person that you should be. And my point is, of course, we have to be accountable for our behavior after the fact. When the fuck we gonna deal with the shit that happened before our behavior? I want to have that conversation. You Negroes like to talk about what happened after we got fucked off. And you think somehow we miraculously supposed to snap out of it and hold ourselves accountable. And I said, why they always doing that? That shit got me, it's kind of peculiar. And then like today, like a light bulb, it hit me. The reason why you slick Negroes always say stop blaming the white man, because you know, soon as we say that white boy did it, your scary ass gonna have to admit it and tussle with him. See, you don't want to get your sneakers dirty. You don't want to fuck up your Jordans. I'm hip to you. I'm hip to you slick ass Negroes. You don't want to fuck your Jordans up tussling with that white boy. You talk that talk to your woman. Yeah, you talk all kind of revolutionary jibber jabber when you're around the house looking all fat and shit like I be doing. Only difference between me and you is I do be walking around the house talking that revolutionary shit, looking all fat and shit. But if they call me, I'm going to first thing. I ain't talking about in the morning. I'm talking about, I'll put to you this way. Let's just say right now, while I'm talking to y'all, the phone ring and they say revolution right now. I'm not going to log off. I'm not going to tell y'all I'm leaving. Y'all going to think I went to the bathroom. Next thing you know, you're going to see me on TV, goddammit. I'm leaving. When they tell me it's going down, disabled, fat, Sloppy, however the fuck they call me, I'm going. Y'all just talk that shit. That's why you always say don't blame the white man. Because the last thing you want to do is scuff up your sneakers out there with one of them motherfucking, one of them big ass white boys that like to wrestle with hogs and shit. You don't want no part of that. Look, I'm going to beat the fuck out Billy Bob and going on to the next motherfuckers, what I'm going to do. So, stop coming to me talking about, stop blaming the white man and take some accountability. I am going to take some accountability. Soon as we get through fucking them up, I'm going to turn to you Negroes and ask you which one of y'all next. That's the accountability I want to take. If we can't start with how we got in this shit, what the fuck difference do it make? Because soon as we fix shit, it's going to happen again. If y'all too scared to admit that he put your ass in a trick bag and did it to you, then as soon as you get on your feet, he going to trick your ass again because you wouldn't admit it the first time. No. We're not doing that. That's why we talking about is reality real. We all watched the movie Harriet Tubman. And we seen that little British lady, she was gone. She was running like, what's that, Shakiri? She was faster than Shakiri with a shotgun, freeing slaves. Woo, gone. They got y'all thinking that little 4'7" little. Now y'all ever seen Harriet? See, this is how I know you Negroes is special. Have y'all ever seen Harriet Tubman? Now, I just don't look at her. And I could be wrong. It's just, when I look at her, it's the first thing I don't think is speed. I don't just look at her like, man, ooh, she look like she probably was fast in her day. I just don't, it's not what I think. But I could be wrong. But that's a little bitty. She kind of robust around her hips. She wasn't slender. She was kind of, she could have been fast though. Here's the problem. You Negroes heard Underground Railroad. Underground Railroad. That's what you heard. I know that's what you heard because that's what I heard. And you assumed, no, I take that back. You didn't assume. You believed that an Underground Railroad was a 4-foot black lady with a shotgun running with a bunch of niggas. Why not call it the Underground anything? Why railroad? Not for 1 second did you think maybe it was a goddamn train down there. Yeah, you ain't think about that. They called it the Underground Railroad because her husband was a goddamn train conductor. They used to steal the train, load it up with black folks, and carry black folk on the train. Not running with a shotgun. On a real train. With real wheels on a real track. Reality ain't real. Because all of see, it's layers to it. Before we can talk about the simulation, we got to talk about the version of reality that you believe in that's not even real. So if the version you've been believing in all your life ain't real, why are we assuming any of it is? It's layers. A lot of people grew up firmly believing in Jesus. Those same people, a lot of them no longer believe. Reality ain't real. What's real anymore? Some of y'all left Jesus and went to Muhammad. And now Muhammad is real to you. But you ain't never been to Mecca and you don't have a fucking clue what's that big ass black cube that everybody got to walk around 2-3 times a day. You don't got a clue what that is. But this is what you're going to do. You going to believe whatever that fucking Arab tell you and me. Because if you don't, they're going to cut your fucking head off. but you really don't know. That's what I'm saying. Reality ain't real. Which part of this is real? Which part can y'all readily identify with? What's really real? I tell you something else. Chew on this. If you was in a video game, right, and you was driving a car in a video game, as long as you is on this side of the street that you're about to turn onto doesn't even exist yet. It doesn't manifest itself until you actually turn the corner. And sometimes when you play in the game, you can actually see that happening. So how can you be sure what's going on outside of your house right now while you in here? Now, if you go look out the window, you'll see some things. But if I'm playing a video game and I go look out the window, I'll see some things too. But I know for a fact those things aren't actually there until I get there. How do you know for a fact this is anything different? You don't. You just think you do. Video games right now look damn near exactly like humans. We're only on the PlayStation 5, my nigga. There's only 5. Just think about it. This is only the 5. And now they got the whatever the new system is. Okay, you're a step past 5. But one step past 5, and they damn near look like people. So hypothetically speaking, just hypothetically speaking, if Xbox and PlayStation 5 looks damn near like people, why did my shit just get so blurry? Whoa. Look damn near like people. What do you think PlayStation 8 or 7 gonna look like? When it gets to PlayStation 7, do you realize that the game figures will look exactly how I look right now? Are you aware of that? By the time it gets to 3 more video games past where we're at right now, that's all you need is 3 more. 3 more past where we're at right now. I don't know what the new system is because I don't got it. But 3 more systems past where we're at right now. And all of the people in the game are going to look exactly how I look right now. So then I would have to ask you, what's reality? I just did that one the week before last when I said help my favorite celebrity is a skin suit. Now, I looked all through the comment section, bro, and I was so disappointed. I seen everybody big up in the trailer for the Will and Martin Bad Boy shit. I'm the only person to date on the entire fucking internet that realized that Martin had a mask on, which means that wasn't Martin in the trailer. Then who the fuck was it? That was not, and I would state my existence on it, that was not Martin Lawrence in that fucking Bad Boys trailer. It was somebody with a Martin mask on, which leaves us with 2 questions. Who the fuck is in a Martin mask, and where the fuck is Martin at? But they're about to shoot a whole fucking movie. And after that, he's got another movie with somebody else coming. I forgot the name of it. I mean, fuck all of them. But my question is, who the fuck was in a Martin mask? And y'all remember a couple weeks ago, I showed you that commercial with Will in it when he said they've been computer generating him since the early 2000s or the late 90s. So where the fuck is Will at? There's something fucking happening. And we so caught up in the weird shit that we just keep it moving. Like we all, at this point, everybody has seen, and I played it a week or two ago, everybody has seen that footage when Cardi B freeze on the red carpet. The whole world saw that. Just listen to me. The whole world saw that. And we didn't panic. We saw Martin just do it in an interview. We seen the senator do it. We keep seeing people live on television in the middle of interviews freeze and get stuck. They're not blinking, they're not doing shit, they're just stuck. We're watching it on TV. We text and call each other and gossip about it. And we haven't for 1 second thought, wait a minute, shit just got way too fucking real. Why are we letting them show us niggas on TV freezing out like robots and we ain't what exactly are we waiting for? Like what's going to be the thing that makes us say, okay, shit done went too far? When they come with the Gestapo like Hitler and them came, is that what it's going to take? Because if nothing else, we should be congregating as the men. The queen's going to do what they do. I'm not even talking to the queens. Where the fuck are the men at? How are the men seeing other men mid-interview freeze and the men aren't concerned? The biggest target we know has always been the black man. They're androiding and roboting out white boys. And we're not concerned? Yeah, I talked about Jamie right before you got here down south. Now Jamie say, I talked about that for a minute. Jamie say he had a headache. Somebody slipped him an Advil, either his cousin or his partner hit him with an Advil, and he was out for 20 days straight. And I'm just going to revisit this real quick. You have to ask yourself, okay, if we drawing off what Jamie said, if he had a headache and he asked for an Advil, and that person gave him an Advil and he was out for 20 days, that means clearly that wasn't an Advil. What that also means is a nigga who ain't never took an Advil asked for ibuprofen. Like me, I don't take Advil. I'm particular. Most people are particular. I take ibuprofen. So now, if you took the ibuprofen, you took the Advil, you know what a fucking Advil look like. So whoever gave him the pill, this pill had to be made to look like an Advil. Only it wasn't. Now, this is where things get a little complicated and you got to start thinking. See, the reason why we so dismissive is because we don't think things out. So let's just think this out for a second. If he took the pill, that means it looked like an Advil, which means the person who gave it to him, there's a couple things here. First of all, if we're going to assume that the pill was no good, that means the person who gave him the pill would have had to know that Jamie Foxx was going to end up with a headache. That's important. That's a very important detail, because that means the person knew Jamie Foxx was going to get a headache. There's only two ways you can know. Either you responsible for the headache, or you've been privy to the information about the headache and put in place to give them the pill for the headache. So now we got to say, who is so upset? What the fuck does Jamie Foxx do? The comedian guy who's in every fucking movie where they need a black guy on steroids, besides Rock. Jamie Foxx. Who's pissed off enough at Jamie Foxx to slip him a bad pill? And then I did that thing on the Tyrone shit, and I say, I believe he told us too much in the Tyrone movie. I call him a hero. I say, I think he took an L for the team. He had to know that movie was going to get him in trouble, and he dropped it anyway. Because y'all know he was the executive producer. That was a Jamie Foxx movie. He put that together. So now, this is my theory. I think he talked too much, and he pissed off the wrong people, and they gave him a little warning shot. This is my opinion. Either way it goes, here's what makes me feel my opinion is got some legs to stand. Because Jamie Foxx won't do two things. He doesn't seem concerned about who the person was that slipped him the pill. How come this motherfucker ain't being brought up on charges? Like, this is a serious thing. I got a pill from a friend that damn near died. Why are we not dealing with that? He can clearly say who gave him the pill. And he can clearly say what happened after that. But there's no allegations connected to that. He just kind of laughed it off and went on with his day. So now the next question is, who can slip Jamie Foxx a pill, damn near kill him, and when he survives, he won't out it out? He won't come out and say, they tried to do something to me. They tried to take me out. He won't say that. Why? So then, who is he protecting, or who can he not speak on? So this is what gives my theory, in my opinion, legs to stand, because whoever slipped him that pill has got to be so big that he ain't going to say nothing about it. Because realistically, this is Jamie Foxx. All he got to do is say a name. It goes viral, headlines, and that person's going to jail. Why he not going that route? So, it leads me to believe that they did it because of what he did. Now, he came back out the hospital in a dress twerking. So, I mean, I don't know. But, so, Atlas, what's going on, guy? Yeah, he got a new interview. I just seen, I'm assuming it's new. It just came across my timeline today. I watched it earlier, and he's just talking about what happened to him. It was real brief, but once again, this is just another moment where reality ain't real. Let's go there for a second. Fuck it, we here now. Let's go there for a second. If we dealing with the Tyrone thing, and now let's stick with the theme. Reality ain't real. You say you think he got a bad bag of that dust. But that's the thing, though. When you at his level, that take on a different undertone. You don't really buy bad dope at his level. They used to back in the days. It's a way different thing now. It's hard to buy bad dope now unless somebody planted it. You know what type of dealers they got, what type of runners they got. somebody had to do it. He ain't going to buy his dope. He ain't pulling up on the dope man like, let me get an ounce. No, he got people to take care of that. So somewhere in that loop, somebody did something. You see, P. Diddy had the white boy flying around with him carrying his dope. Millionaires don't carry dope and they don't buy it because you can't stand the scandal. You get caught at the dope house. You heard Bakeem Woodbine say him and Pop used to sneak to the projects. They know the camera crew ain't going in there. You can't really, when you're a superstar, you can't really be buying no dope. That shit got to be. Because if we know you buying dope, then we going to know next thing we know you playing butt-naked basketball. So, yeah. But now, on some real flip, though, let's go back to the Tyrone thing. So, we talking about reality ain't real. What did Tyrone show us? Well, first of all, it's about clones. So that reality ain't real because if we going with the theory of cloning, then we have to assume that they live amongst us now. We have to assume that clones at this level of science, we have to assume that clones are amongst us. We have to assume that cyborgs and androids are amongst us. We have to assume this. If he showed us that thing about the chicken. So you're going, and of course, they added a comedic spin on it so it don't get too serious. But let's just break it down. We had every year they come with the Popeye chicken sandwich. Every time they bring it around, Black America go crazy and the lines be like them crack lines in the 80s. And I just had a crazy thought. Watch this, y'all. And so we just like, that chicken must be fire, but we not looking at the fact that what is so monumental about these chicken sandwiches that people are in droves. And then last year with the chicken sandwich, if I'm not mistaken, a couple people got trampled on and a person or two got killed. How are people getting trampled on and dying over chicken sandwiches? But let's put some legs on this and see if it can stand. Didn't about 2-3 years ago, T.I. and Mike Epps had a little comedy show where they was putting weed in the chicken and they had the whole hood going off the weed chicken. See, here's what y'all don't understand. When you see your favorite two actors in the movie, they're just acting in the movie. Most of the time, they don't have a fucking thing to do with the actual put together of the movie. But when they do, you can almost always, 99.9% of the time, you'll see scenes or the overall presentation that will coincide with the current societal agenda. Clones have been living amongst us 100 years. To an extent, I definitely agree with that, Queen. So now, what I'm saying is, what's the odds that T.I. and Mike Epps make a movie about putting drugs in the chicken, and then a little bit later, Jamie Foxx get more specific and show you the chicken sandwiches is newt. Now, in y'all thought process, these are just movies. there's no such thing as just movies. Even if it says that somebody put the movie together, you still have script writers that's helping you put the script together. This is a joint project. And there's always an agenda, or it will never leave the film studio. And if you get to the level of Jamie Foxx, where you can fund everything yourself, then you get a spanking if you fund the wrong thing. And y'all remember, or y'all may not remember, he had just got into it with Cameron Diaz on the set of his movie. He was filming a movie before that with Cameron Diaz, and they got into it. And then he ended up calling the police and saying that he was basically in fear for his current situation and that he had got robbed and had his, some of his money and stuff too. What was going on set? See, it'd be so many layers because reality ain't real. The shit that y'all got put together on how things really work is not real. The brother gonna tell me, they've been putting negative shit in the music for years. Now we just gonna come through and blame Sexy Red? No, that ain't how that work. We need to take some accountability. So, because there were artists before Sexy Red that put out poisonous music to our daughters, we should ignore the fact that she's doing it because it's been done already. We live in a space where we borderline delusional. Reality is not real for us because we could look around and see the black culture ain't doing so good as a collective. We see all the murder, we see all the drugs, we all see all the broken homes and dysfunctionality and prison and all of that. And we can disguise that with some rims, some Jordans, and some BBLs, and some designer clothes from white people. And we can have these things, throw some jewelry on, and forget all the other shit. Your jewelry's not real, your rims not real, the fucking Jordans is not real. This is not reality. That you can cosmetically fix real problems. Black people in America don't got shit. What are y'all buying rims and Jordans for? How does that fix the fact that when white people see you, they think you trash in certain situations on a large scale? I ain't talking about regular white people. I'm just painting a picture. We have to think about these things. The average black person cares about most of the things that cannot benefit black people as a whole. And for us, that's a reality, but it's not real. It's not real that we could see Michael Jordan on various occasions show that he really don't care about black people, and we still allow him to have the #1 black sneaker. And this is like his 4th go-round selling y'all the exact same shoe, just in different colors. And you can convince yourself, I literally see people say, I got the new Jordans. You haven't had new Jordans in 20 years. Reality ain't real. A man can dribble a basketball around a bunch of other men and learn how to do some fancy tricks with it. And because he can do some fancy tricks with a toy, we'll pay him 10 times more than the men and women who educate the children so that they can get to the level of being a basketball player. Because you have to have your grades intact to get to the level to be an athlete. So, but we pay miraculously less to the educators than we do the entertainment. And we do this all while preaching knowledge is power and go get an education. We tell you education is the cornerstone of society. It's one of the most important things you need is to be educated in our society. But we pay more to entertainers than we do to educators, and smile in the face of everyone like, And the educators are so discombobulated, they become fans of the entertainers, just like y'all. All while preaching education is essential. Almost every society on this planet is religious in some form or another. And we allow religious leaders to be the biggest pedophiles on the planet. Reality ain't real. These people are the go-between, so we think the connection between us and the God, the actual divinity. Yet we know historically that most pedophilia takes place under these religious umbrellas. And we only say something when we see it. And then past that point, we ignore it and continue to pretend. Reality ain't real. They tell you, you drinking the blood and eating the flesh of Jesus. They give you grape juice and a wafer from the grocery store. Reality ain't real, bro. You can't tell me where it is. You'll get up, hate your fucking job, hate your racist ass boss, and then you go right into work, say yes sir, yes ma'am, and smile. Then you go home to the person you love with an attitude. Reality ain't real. How can you have more smoke for the person you eat with and lay with every night than you do for the people who you know hate you and only giving you an opportunity because they have to? See, we could convince ourselves of all of this, blah, 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 blah. But when you sit down and really just look at it, most of the shit we think and do just is not real. It's just not. And before we can get to the layer of talking about, is this a simulation? We have literally created a simulation on top of the simulation. Because we got a whole way we think and move and act, and we call it black culture. And it's the biggest fucking facade on the planet. Everybody tough, everybody gangster, everybody a killer. Or if you ain't a killer, you're a harlot. And this is the way to be. The way to be. The most common statement is men who can't take care of you shouldn't get anything from you or shouldn't be taken serious. And for men, women are just sexual objects. And we have supported this on both ends. And then we'll complain about how we're treated. We don't give a fuck about each other anyway. Reality ain't real. So, if nothing else, even if there wasn't an actual simulation, which there is, but even if there wasn't, we've created one. Because most of the shit that you see in Black America is fake as a $3 bill. Nobody really in their heart wants to stand outside, risk their life, and take all of these chances on dying or never going home again so that they can make money. Now we turn it into a sport and we begin to love it. But there is nobody that, if having a chance to have the things you need comfortably without risking your life selling drugs, which one would you take? Get the fuck out of here. So we create a simulation called trapping. And we turn it to a sport. We look nice and we talk slick and we have nice things. But on the inside, we all know we're accepting a downgraded existence because we always admit it. We're sitting here, one of the biggest talks in Black America is about reparations. What we're fighting for, the current biggest fight in America, in Black America, is we would like to be paid for the ass whooping we took. And we want the people who whooped our ass to pay us for whooping our ass. And then the first thing we say is, this our land, they stole it. My nigga, repeat that again. This is our land, they stole it. Okay. Have you ever stole something from the store and took it back, my nigga? Better yet, have you ever stole something from the store and wrote them a check for it? Reality ain't real. We want the people who robbed us to compensate us for the robbery. Did whoever win without being forced? When you get caught in a court of law for stealing something or robbing something, you have to pay restitution forcefully because you got caught and you got forced to do it. But if we haven't caught them and we're not forcing them, why again should they pay us for stealing our shit? It's just so many things that we think, believe, and subscribe to. This is just not a real thing. So, clones have been amongst us for hundreds of years. They've also always been experimenting and messing with the foods to see how we react. Well, yeah, this is a 6,000-year-old project. Started slightly before that, but yeah. They're messing with everything. Why wouldn't they? They have the time, the resources, and the need. So they're messing with everything. That's what we got to get out of our mind. We still thinking there's certain things that they just aren't messing with. And my only question to you is, I'm not going to say you right or you wrong. I would just have to say, whatever you telling me that you think they haven't fucked with yet, I just ask you, why haven't they? Nothing's stopping them. Every time I tell y'all the music is corrupt or this is corrupt and that is corrupt, y'all say, no. Why? Who's stopping them from doing anything? They have had you under their control for 6,000 years. Why are you still convinced that there are lines they won't cross? Who enslaves a people for 6,000 years with morals? So every time you say what they wouldn't do, you should slap the shit out yourself. Every time you say what's not happening, you should slap the shit out yourself. Because the simple question is, why ain't it happening? There's a simple law. They was talking about in that movie. I forgot the dude who thought of this, but this makes sense. Anything that can happen, could happen, or should happen, it's true. Because if it could, would, or should, then why doesn't it? There's nothing stopping it. If you think it's potential, if you think there's a potential that all of the food could be poisoned, you think they haven't thought of it either? They're the ones trying to poison you. You're just the victim. And the victim is thinking, shit, at this point, everything could be poisoned. You don't think the motherfucker poisoning you has thought of that? if they show you a movie with their scientific potentiality, if they have the potential to do it, they're doing it. I don't understand what y'all be thinking. If they show you in a movie that they have the potential to do a thing, what the fuck makes you think they're not doing it? Because your mind tell you, oh, it's just a movie. What the fuck does that even mean? It's just a movie. What does that mean? You don't, okay. Who the fuck made a movie from nothing? A movie comes from something you know or seen or heard. There's only three options. Something you know, seen, or heard. That's where a movie comes from. Nobody just pulls thoughts out of the butthole from nowhere. You see movies about aliens, then there's a potentiality. Any of this shit has a potentiality, and we need to start looking at it like that. Because reality ain't real. All you have is you. Look at it this way, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. Look at it this way. And I said this before. I got this from my dude Merkabah. This is a cold thing he said when I heard this. You've never walked to the swamp or in a field somewhere or behind Granny's house. Who gives a shit? I don't know. Bottom of the ocean. I don't know. Wherever you been. Nowhere you ever been. Have you ever seen a human growing out of the ground? Just like a tree. Just look over there. It's a bunch of trees. And oh, shit, there's a human. You never seen humans just pop up out of the water in little cocoons that later became... In no way, shape, or form have you ever seen a human come from the planet. Every human you've ever encountered, as far as you know, came onto this planet one way. Through the womb of a woman. So now, what's the beginning of that? Because if every human you ever seen came out of the womb of a woman, then we have to use simple mathematic deduction and say, wait a minute. Humans are not from Earth. They can't be. Why not? Because you never seen Earth grow a human. So where did humans actually come from? Not here. So that opens up all kind of doors. Because that means you were placed here. For what? By who? So your base reality isn't even real because you didn't come from here. So you have a story that started before here. What's that like? So this is only a version of your reality. There's a whole nother version you, for whatever reason, don't even have access to. And now, if we can, a lot of us agree that this is a dome, and the only way you can get here is through the womb of a woman, then that means whatever first woman that was had to be placed here. But you can say, what about every species? What you mean, Alice? See, that's why we finna get out of here and go to Clubhouse, man, because we could go back and forth better in Clubhouse. We supposed to been out of here. We done got the rocking. Hey, let's do this. Let's take it to Clubhouse, man, so we can have a conversation, y'all. It'd be hard, but I can say that about every species, every amiable, not from well, yeah, you could say that about every species, but how many species do you think we're talking about? And you could say that about every species, but then there's another factor we have to deal with. There's only one species that this planet was aligned for if we look at it from a scientific perspective. Like we just did the mathematics, and the same mathematics that was used to calculate the universe is the same mathematics that was used to calculate the human, is the same mathematics that's used on rose petals, flowers, and tree branches. All of these mathematics line up perfectly. So something happened, but it didn't happen here. But I done told everybody was leaving. They didn't cut out. So let's just go to Clubhouse, man, and we can have a real conversation, because we can't really go back and forth properly here. So I'm gonna open up the room, and then I'm gonna make me a smoothie. But I'm gonna open up the room right away. Well, let me see. So yeah, we can do that. Knowledge is the only real power. Information is the only real currency. But the application of both is the route to divinity. I love y'all. I'm gone.